I look tired, and there's a reason. But for the first day or two, I feel like I'm finally starting to reach solid ground. This is going to be the Octopus Healing. It's a little perverse to some of you, and it's a little much. So this is like that precursor of the movie that goes, this is rated R for graphic violence. So I also need to give a heads up warning. For those of you who are watching this without having passed through the Hufflepuff Nexa, without having gotten all the marshmallow and honey goo for like a month or two, if you're watching this and you have no real skills, if you have not done like 30,000 hours of lava meditation, if you have not done a huge significant amount of the dragon eggs where we dig deep into the Clippeth and into the underworld, then you have like almost no business watching this video. You can watch it, but like it's a little sad because you're just going to be that person in the audience that just hasn't really done the work to do the work. But you can still gain the intelligence. This is when I talk about that, that's the definition of bad form. So when I build a class and I have initiations and classes, it's like a step-by-step process to open gateways and a door. Okay? Because if you're watching this video without having like done the work, that doorway is like, it's not really real. It's a little ugh. So I'm only publicizing this healing because it's a huge sex healing. And it is kind of necessary for all the women on this planet, and perhaps the men too. But it would be better if you have done at least 10,000 hours of the dragon eggs, the Protego Totalums, the lava, and developed a clear understanding of you and your lower self. I need to teach this as people progress and as the gateways to these energies become accessible on the planet. That's the only reason why this is available for any of you guys to just watch. So close your eyes. We are going to be descending into our lowest of low selves, at least that we have access to, okay? To the point where our vagina, and this is the other component, this is a healing for like women. Or when I say vagina, just imagine that you have a vagina and that you're trans or middle sex, and then imagine your vagina. So, because it's a divine femme healing. So you're just going to have to pretend and you're going to imagine the vagina and the root chakra. Okay. So we're going to be sitting on the floor. And you should start to feel the energy of your root chakra descending upon the hell realms. And what happens is, where most of our energy and time and light It's like we feed off of the higher planes, but then we have all this lower shadow to reconcile. And what happens is it leads to that double life reality. So we imagine ourselves to be amazing and pure and love, but then our body doesn't equate in action. And so that keeps us actually demonic. So because that action part is required for the as above, so below to actually manifest. So you're gonna when you start to lower your energy to come through the lower earth plane. So like try to find where your energy is coming from in your chakra systems. And if it's not at the lowest root chakra, then you need to like lower it. This means to step into your fears and your shadows. So whatever you're afraid of, and it's probably going to include sexual violence. So whatever you're really afraid of, you're going to sit back inside of it. So, because your root chakra is going to be bound to the fear. And this is where the hell realms really take hold of everybody. And it's at this point, like, this is the real energy of what's going on the planet. And why there's, like, so your life might be great, but 1,000 little girls are being raped and sold in rape slavery, you know? So at the lowest common denominator, the energy of the planet's demonic. At the lowest common denominator. Now, if you're for a minute thinking you're some kind of a seraphim, it is your job to clean out the Clippeth and the underworld. That is literally the job of the seraphim. So you have to have acquired a level of mastery over the lower realms. If you are pretending you're a seraphim and are not going to spend your entire existence cleaning out the hell realms, then see ya. Even the Hashmalim's job is to make sure that they're not hypocrites and helping the seraphim, you know? So you have to begin with yourself first. Now, what may start to manifest as you lower yourself is seeing knives and blades at your feet, at your vagina, everywhere in the lower realms. Because that's what the men are voting for on this planet. Their lower selves. Which is why sexual violence prevails. So you have to sit back and look at it. And melt it. You have to melt all those knives. You have to see it. And throw those knives into the lava. And you can lower yourself even more. See those knives and blades and melt them into the lava. If you're already starting to feel like you're under attack already, because some of you are gonna be, at this point, you're gonna need to protego totalum the shit out of your lower elevator chambers and selves. Build salvio hexia grids, and then come back to it tomorrow. You're gonna have to clean it out. If you have to clean it out from the where you're at, and then start cleaning the lower chambers so that you can lower yourself the next day, then that's what you do. Now, understand this. I trust no spiritual teachers down here. All I have seen, and through my experience, except for myself. And we're working with some of the dragons to get some of the dragons down here to like be trustworthy. Because once you reach here, it's like you have to be uncorruptible. You have to be in a space of like Protego to tell them the crap out of it, marshmallow jelly it, lava it. You have to be highly skilled and highly focused to be able to handle it. Now Charlie and Root are the dragons that are really doing like the big work. And Lucifer's kind of like, but I'm more inclined right now to trust Charlie and Root, like because they're and then Lucifer, but Lucifer's a little too temperamental. So he'll snap sometimes when he'll see something scary and it will trigger him. But Charlie is a lot more stable and secure. Don't trust any spiritual teachers down here. Put brick walls and marshmallow jelly, and never for a second let them hook in to your energy field, because then they'll stab you and you'll feel it and it hurts. So none of these people are masters, and none of these people are trustworthy in the hell realms. If they were, you'd be able to see it in the physical realm too. So take a deep breath and exhale. So we're going to start opening up a space for lava. So it's the spiritual teachers also that have extremely chaotic energy and are narcissistic and put brick walls up when you're trying to have a reasonable conversation with them based off of truth, logic, and fact. It's usually those teachers that will hurt you in the Clippeth, because they're just gonna stab you. So protect yourself and protect your vagina. Okay, so as we relax in, we are sitting at a pool of lava. Now, if you see, this is the trick. It's a shitty trick, but it helps. Anytime you see a knife coming at you or coming at your vagina, if you cannot melt it before it gets there, you use it. And this is the gross part. This is the sad part, but it's true. So we're gonna find a silver lining in it. This is not condoning it. It's the silver lining, not for them. They're criminals, and will be held accountable for they will be arrested and put into Azkaban prisons eventually. And there will be taken into account all of the stabbings that go on in the underworlds, and it will manifest into the physical world, and they will become dark wizards and dark witches, and they will end up in Azkaban. Pretty much. It's really gross. Especially when you can't write them to tell them to clean up their fields. But they're a master. It's too convenient that they all want money for their mastery, but they have no conscious awareness over their lower selves. That's convenient. That's a demon. So like I look at them like demons in the physical world because that looks like my physical life. Now, when I say you use the knife, you use it to open up pockets of ick that are in your root. And none of you guys even know that you have it, but you have it, believe me. So this is like how when the Fire Lord will beat up Aang and it will hit him right on the right spot and then he'll get all his powers again. So the Fire Lord's still a criminal, but because this is how the demons will work, is they'll think they opened up a pocket for you to do a healing, and they'll think that was them healing you instead of a criminal act of violence. And it's not. It's a criminal act of violence. It's not a healing. You can turn it into a healing. They do not get to make that decision. So we will teach you guys self-defense skills, but that's like, you have to pass the Hufflepuff Nexa before I give you like the real self-defense skills, you know? But until then, you have to do the self-healing. So you open up the pockets of crap in your root chakra. Now, what is usually manifesting right now are these metal-looking octopuses. So it might look like a tentacle filled with 1,000 blades on it. And it's gross and it's weird. And then you let that blade come out, or that the blades come out, or the tentacle of blades to come out. And then it starts to wrap around a table and like pull out the actual octopus. So this is a I want to call this the Lilith Potter, the Lilith Potter teaching, but it's the octopus healing. Now that octopus will either go into the lava and you'll clear it out of your field. There will be many of them. There may be 1,000. There may be 1,000,000 that end up coming out of your vagina or your vaginal cavity, right? It's coming out through your root chakra. But the next best thing so it will either go into the lava or the blades will start to climb your egg. And then all of a sudden, the tentacles of blades will turn into fairy lights for Christmas trees. And it will be creating the Protego Totalum grid. Or like, so that one's the white one, and then the blue one, the Salvio Hexia grid. So you'll start to see the tentacles turn from violence into just spells. And spells to help you. And you'll do it in layers. So you might do the 49 shape or the 49 layer spell coming out of your vagina. And sometimes you're going to pull through just the Christmas lights. You might not even pull out the octopus, okay? But this is like the clear, once you're in the bottom of the hell realms, this is like a clear indicator that the spells are actually being birthed through, because they're coming through like the lowest realms of hell on planet Earth through your vagina, through your root chakra, which is pretty good. So we'll do it will come out in a 49 resolution. It will come out in a 144 resolution, so like way more Christmas lights, much tighter. It will come out in a 1728. It will come out in the 2736. I'm getting to the point where that's where I'm at, is like that kind of resolution, and it goes, whew. And then my mental acuity just goes really nice. That's like, the boxes are like this big, and there's just lots of net, and it goes all up in my egg. So that it again, it doesn't condone the violence, but what it does is it takes the edge or the fear off of some of it. some. So that, like, if you're seeing astral attack towards your vagina like that, that maybe you can turn it into something good. Instead of it just being in a state of victim and fear. So then we can do the 248832. That's the next resolution up of Christmas lights. And I have a few different, like, so there's the octopus. The kids have this too, and it's terrifying for me because I'm having to constantly making sure that kids are gritting their lower selves into the clipeth, and then making sure that, like, I just go like a scalpel to open up the kids to, like, let all that stuff clean out. And I just talk to their self, right? Their astral self, to, like, let it go. And some of the kids are like, yeah, I don't like that stuff in me. And so they'll, like, birth it out. And it will help grid them and protect them, but they're carrying so much of it. And that's why there's so much violence on this planet and so much fear. So, there like the 2985984 resolution of the octopus and the Christmas lights. That could probably wrap around the planet. But it also it looks like more like web. So there's like layers. It might look like cotton candy web coming out of your vagina. And it's like, it's intense. Some of the stuff will come out for hours, for days and hours. And it really is like the Lilith Potter teaching. Because Lilith sits, she's the birther of demons. And we all have this component inside of us where we're still, like, filled with ick. So the component is like, when we have acquired a level of mastery over our higher self or our, like, real self, as we birth the demon, we can put it into the lava. And we can heal. And so instead of looking at Lilith like a bad guy, looking at Lilith like the component of you that is like, yeah, I don't want this in my life. I'd rather turn this into like love instead of fear. Like love magic instead of like unhealth. So that's why, like, if you're blessed with Lilith energy, because she'll sit right at, like, here's Malkuth, and she'll be like right here. But she'll also go with you down to the bottom of the clipeth. You, honestly, she shouldn't. She's not as strong as your higher light self. So your higher light self should, like, give her as much marshmallow healing jelly as possible. Or him. And then you go down to the bottom of the clipeth. You do. And you begin to birth more of that ick and transmute it to lava. And you fight off that stuff for Lilith, like Lilith's hero. Because that's an as above, so below teaching compressed, because then that's like your higher self coming down here and battling all the fucking demons down here like a hero. So it's the same component. So, like, letting go, like, so those octopuses will, like, be alive, you know? So they'll start, they might climb. But they're rad. They're not usually abusive. They're usually, like, growth oriented and, like, part of you. And then they might even transmute into, like, vines and flowers. I've seen them transmute into, like, jasmine. I've also seen them transmute into, like, peonies like vines with peonies, and that's the big sex healing flower. The big teaching with the like peony and the sexual healing, sexual awakening flower is that there are a million layers. So if you birth like 100 octopuses in like 1 month and you're like, yeah, I'm done, like probably not, dude. Probably not. You're probably gonna clean it out for like 6 or 7 years. But it's good to have a stronger foundation to be cleaning it out. Now, this is the sign of a true Gryffindor. Because even if the like, it's the red Gabra pushing you all the way to the bottom of the Clippeth. So it's Mars going, no more karma. Not in your root chakra, not in your body, nothing. So this is the sign of a true, this is what it will take to pass a Gryffindor Nexa, is like a clear path to cleaning out everything. This might it could also turn into brick walls as boundary settings towards everybody else. Like healthy boundaries. The brick walls, think of Hagrid and Harry going into Diagon Alley. Like, that brick wall was a healthy boundary. Magician, they'll go tap, 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 and then the brick wall opens. So it's not really like an issue, you know? So how do we protect ourselves from all the Slytherins? Okay, so brick walls. They will not have the same level of access to the Clippeth as you do. And that's the component, like, to get into Gryffindor, you have to have reached the bottom barrel of the Hell Realms. And it took the Mars energy and that extreme severity to be able to even push you all the way down to it. Now, a Slytherin sits in Netzach, so they don't have the same access because there's not enough gravity leverage to even get down into that layer of the Clippeth. So the Slytherins will never be as powerful unless they're people that have crossed the Nexa. And then chosen Slytherin on the back end. And Hufflepuff can go about halfway. So, because once you hit Netzach, you go into Hufflepuff, and then you super ground. So it's like, you hit Tiferet, and it goes, boom, back to Malkuth. And then once you hit Gabra, it goes, not only back to Malkuth, but really deep back to Malkuth. Now, if this healing starts to trigger like extreme fears and pain, please send me an email and I'll start sending you healing grids for it, because I know how bad it can be. I know how terrifying it can be. I know how bad it can be. It's gross. But it's like we need to clean out all the shadow. Like, and that's, you have to have cleaned out all the shadow to be at the top of the we all. And so you're going to start seeing everywhere where Mother Earth's still being raped, where little girls or little boys are still being raped, where women are still being raped, and you go, oh, that's like, what in me is still creating that? And so you go, oh, I have to clean all of that out. And that's what it takes to be at the top of the wheel. And Ravenclaw and Gryffindor have that component. Hufflepuffs are like, I'm going to be a healer. I want to like do magic and like, but they're not quite good enough or prepared enough to face their karma. They're not quite prepared enough to face justice for all of the crimes they've committed. on the planet or to people. So they have to like sit and heal others and heal themselves before they can get to Gryffindor. Because once Gryffindor it is, that's judgment. That's justice. So if they haven't done the adequate healing work, well then, it's going to be really hard for them. like it was for me. I was just it was almost impossible for me. So, but that's what happens. For those octopus. Now, how do you do with little boys? Probably just the root chakra. Now, their testicles are going to carry some ick, and their penises will carry some blades. So you need to clean out that too. Because and then that's where the sexual violence and perversion will come from. So do your work to like start cleaning out the blades of all the little boys and throw all that shit into the lava. And if you don't throw that shit into the lava, or you don't transmute it into like Protego Totalum or Salvio Hex, like there is extreme karma that will come with it. And this is where it gets, like, if you're going to use those blades to like throw at people, it's Slytherin. It's like no hope for you. No hope for the planet, no hope for your kids, no hope. Let's get into Hufflepuff, where at least it's like heal instead of damage. All right. I could like feel people like thinking about what they want to do with those blades instead of just throw them into the lava. And that's why there are a million little girls in the rape trade. Is for those asshole people, even the women, that are like, took even a second to think about it, Collyren out.